The strange girl and the rain hit the ground hard, like small stones falling from the sky. Lightning flashed in the distance, and thunder shook the air. Ethan worked alone inside his small garage on the edge of town. He was used to being alone. People didn't come here often, just old cars, broken machines, and silence. But that night, something was different. Something was watching as Ethan wiped the oil from his hands. He heard a sound soft and weak. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't wind. He opened the garage door slowly and looked outside there. Sitting near the wall was a girl. She was soaked from the rain. Her hair stuck to her face, her arms wrapped around her legs. She looked lost, scared, and cold. Ethan stepped out. "Hey," he said. "Are you okay?" The girl didn't answer. She looked up at him with wide, glowing eyes that shimmered like silver for a second. Then they looked normal again, almost. But Ethan had seen something strange. He came closer, slowly. "I'm not gonna hurt." "You," he said, taking off his jacket. He offered it to her. She didn't move. Only when a loud crack of thunder hit did she suddenly grab the jacket and pull it over her shoulders. "Do you need food?" Ethan asked. She nodded. Just once, he helped her stand. She was shaking, cold and very thin. He took her inside the garage, gave her a blanket, and opened a can of soup. She watched everything like she didn't understand it, like she didn't know what a spoon was or what a heater did. "What's your name?" he asked. She stayed quiet, looking down. After a few minutes, she whispered, "Alira." Her voice was soft, and her accent was strange. "That's a nice name," Ethan said. He wanted to ask more, but something told him to wait. She was scared, and she had nowhere else to go. He could give her a night of safety. As she ate, Ethan noticed something odd when she touched the metal spoon. It bent slightly in her hand, not like she forced it, but like it reacted to her. He blinked, confused, but said nothing. The rain got louder, and suddenly a soft humming sound filled the air outside. Ethan looked through the window and saw a light moving in the sky. It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't a drone he'd ever seen. It was smooth, round, and quiet, like it was scanning when Alira saw the light. She dropped the spoon and backed away. "No," she whispered, "not again." "What is that?" Ethan asked. She didn't answer, but her eyes filled with fear. "We have to hide," she said quickly. "Please." Ethan didn't know what was going on, but he saw real fear in her eyes without asking questions. He took her hand and led her to the back of the garage. There was a door to his underground storage room, a place no one ever went. He opened it and told her to go down. She hesitated, looking at him like she wasn't sure. "You'll be safe," he said. "Trust me." She stepped down, and he closed the door just as the light outside got brighter. Ethan grabbed an old flashlight and turned off the garage lights. He waited, breathing slowly. The humming sound got closer, then stopped. A shadow moved outside the garage door. No footsteps, no voices, just a shape tall and thin. Then, a soft knock. Once, twice, then silence. Ethan didn't move. He stood still, holding his breath. The knock came again. Louder this time. Then, the garage door opened by itself. No one touched it. Just a quiet hiss of air and metal. Ethan raised the flashlight and stepped forward slowly. But there was nothing. No one. Just a small flying device hovering in the rain. It looked like a camera, but it had no wires, no lights. It turned toward Ethan and made a soft beep. Then it flew away, fast and silent, disappearing into the clouds. Ethan closed the door and locked it. He walked back and opened the basement hatch. Alira was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. She looked up at him, eyes still glowing slightly. "I'm not from here," she said quietly. "I can see that," Ethan replied. "But I'm not kicking you out." She smiled for the first time. Just a little. Outside, The storm got worse, but inside the garage, two strangers sat in silence. One human, one not, but both running from something bigger than the rain. The next morning came quietly. The storm had passed, but the sky was still gray. Ethan woke up on the couch in his garage. His tools scattered on the floor. He looked around, half thinking it had all been a dream. But when he heard the soft footsteps coming from the basement, he remembered everything. Alira stepped into the light, still wrapped in his old jacket. Her silver eyes looked brighter in the daylight, but her face was calm. Too calm, like someone hiding deep pain. "Did you sleep?" Ethan asked. She nodded slowly, a little. He poured her a cup of instant coffee. Not sure if she'd like it. She took a sip and coughed. "It's bitter," she said. Ethan laughed. "Welcome to Earth." There was a strange comfort in that moment, like two people from different worlds trying to act normal. But normal didn't last long. As Ethan walked toward his workbench, his laptop flickered, then the screen went black. A few seconds later, words appeared in red. "Return the specimen." The message blinked twice, then vanished. Ethan froze. What the hell? Alira came closer and saw the screen. Her face turned pale. "They found me," she whispered. Her hands started to shake again. "Who sent that?" Ethan asked. "Who are they?" Alira backed away, eyes wide. "I wasn't supposed to survive," she said. "I escaped, but they're still hunting me." "Escape from where?" Alira pointed to the sky. "Not a place on Earth," she said. "A station orbiting a dead planet, called the Harvest Zone." Ethan stared. "At her, you mean?" "Space." She nodded. "They made us there, trained us, used us." Ethan leaned back, trying to make sense of it all. Alira wasn't just alien, she was created by something else, for something else. But she didn't look like a threat. She looked like a survivor. Suddenly, the lights in the garage flickered. The same humming sound from the night before returned, soft but growing louder. Ethan opened the garage door carefully and looked outside. In the sky, another drone hovered, scanning the area, but this one was different, sleek, black, and silent. It floated down slowly, landing near the edge of the property, a soft green light pulsed from its core. "We need to disable it," Alira said quickly. "Can you do that?" Ethan asked. She walked past him, calm but focused, as she reached the drone. Her hand began to glow faintly. When she touched the drone, it sparked and fell still. Ethan ran over, amazed. "How did you do that?" "I don't know," she said. "My body reacts to them. I wasn't built like the others." Ethan opened the drone's body using his tools. Inside, wires moved like veins, and a small blinking chip sat at the center. He pulled it out, and suddenly a sharp signal hit the laptop inside. A map flashed on the screen, Earth, marked in red, with one location blinking. His garage. A countdown began. 72 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, a timer. Ethan said, "For what?" Alira didn't answer, but tears welled in her eyes. "If it reaches 0, she said, "they'll come, not just for me, for everything." Ethan stared at her, heart pounding. "You're saying Earth is in danger?" "Yes," she said, "because I'm here." He grabbed the chip and looked at it closely. "What is this thing?" Alira took it from his hand and held it to her chest. "It's not just a tracker," she said. "It's a key." "A key to what?" "To the signal I carry," she said. "I'm not just hiding from them, I'm carrying something they want." Ethan walked back into the garage, pacing. He had spent most of his life fixing cars and machines. He had never thought he'd be involved in something like this, but now, Earth might be under threat. And the only person who had answers was a girl from the stars. Alira sat on the floor, tired and silent. "I didn't ask for this," she said. "I only wanted to be free." Ethan looked at her. Really looked this time, not as a stranger. not as an alien, but as someone who had suffered, someone who needed help. "Then let's do something about it," he said. "We disable the signal, stop the countdown, and send them a message." "What kind of message?" she asked. Ethan smiled, just a little. "That Earth is not a place they can mess with." Alira looked at him, unsure. "But we need help," she said. "Then we'll find someone," Ethan said. "Someone who knows alien tech better than I do," she nodded, slowly standing. Outside, the clouds began to clear, but above them, far beyond what the eye could see, something was watching, waiting. The sun rose slowly over the quiet town. Ethan's garage stood still, like nothing had changed, but inside, everything was different now. Ethan worked at his desk, wires and tools scattered everywhere. Next to him sat the broken drone, its shell cracked open like a metal skull. He stared at its parts, trying to understand what it was made of. But the circuits didn't follow any Earth design. They pulsed with blue light. As if the machine was still alive, behind him, Alira stood silently, watching him work. She didn't speak, but Ethan could feel her energy quiet, nervous, and alert. Finally, she broke the silence. "That's not a normal drone," she said. "It's part of their hive." Hive. Ethan looked up, confused. She nodded. "They work together like insects." "But smarter, faster." Ethan turned back to the drone. "I've never seen tech like this," he said. "Some of these wires are grown, not built." "Yes," Alira replied. "They use organic metal." Ethan paused. "That's not possible." "It is where I come from," she said quietly, just then. The drone's eye lit up again for half a second. Ethan jumped back. But Alira didn't flinch. "It's sending a final signal," she said. "The hive knows we're still here." Ethan grabbed a tool and quickly disabled the power core. He pulled out the strange chip from its center and placed it on the table. The chip was small, silver, and shaped like a teardrop. A soft hum came from it, almost like it was breathing. "What is this thing?" Ethan asked. Alira stepped forward and touched it with her fingers. When she did, a light blue glow surrounded her hand. "I think it's connected to me," she whispered. "Then we need someone who can figure this out," Ethan said. "I know a guy," he added after a pause. "He's not normal, but he might believe you." They packed the drone pieces and the chip, and drove in Ethan's old pickup truck. The town faded behind them as they drove into the hills. After an hour, they reached a strange cabin hidden between tall trees. "Who lives here?" Alira asked. "A genius," Ethan said, "or a madman." The door creaked open before Ethan could knock. A tall, thin man stood there, wearing goggles and holding a metal cane. "Ethan," he said with a smile, "I thought you forgot about me, Dr. Nova." Ethan nodded. "I brought something." Strange. Inside, the cabin looked like a spaceship crashed into a junkyard. Wires, screens, tools, and glowing objects were everywhere. Alira stayed close to Ethan, unsure of this new place. Dr. Nova studied the drone parts with interest, but when he saw the chip, he froze. "Where did you get this?" he asked seriously. "From a drone," Ethan said. "It was tracking her." Nova looked at Alira, eyes wide. "You're not from here," he said. She nodded once. "I didn't come to harm anyone," she said. Nova turned to Ethan. "Do you know what this chip is?" "No," Ethan said. "But I know it's dangerous." Nova placed the chip under a scanner. The screen showed symbols ones Ethan couldn't read. Nova's face grew pale. "This isn't just a tracker," he said slowly. "It's a trigger." "A trigger for what?" Ethan asked. "For war," Nova replied. "This chip contains a signal code, one that wakes up machines in deep space." Alira took a step back. "That's why they want me." Ethan looked at her. "You're carrying the signal." She nodded. "They built me with it, but I escaped before they could use me." Nova leaned closer to her. There are others like you, aren't there? Elira's eyes turned silver for a moment. I think so, she said. But I don't know where they are. Then we have to find them, Nova said. Because if one of them activates their chip, Earth will become a battlefield. Ethan felt a chill down his spine. This wasn't about one drone or one girl anymore. It was about the future of the whole planet. Outside, the wind picked up, shaking the trees. Nova turned off the lights and drew the curtain. You need to stay hidden, he said to Elira. Why? Ethan asked. Nova showed him a screen. A red dot blinked on a map their exact location. They already know you came here. Nova said, You led them straight to me. A sharp beep echoed from one of the machines. Another drone was approaching. This time, bigger, faster. Elira stood up, her body glowing slightly. I can fight, she said. No. Ethan said quickly, Not yet. He looked at Nova. Can we stop the signal from leaving Earth? Nova thought for a second. Maybe, he said. But we'll need something hidden deep in the forest. What? A broken beacon from an old crash site, Nova said. If we can power it, we might be able to block the signal. Then? Let's go, Ethan said. Outside, the sky darkened again. But this time, it wasn't just weather. Something unnatural was coming. The forest was darker than usual, even though it was day. The thick trees blocked the sunlight. Cold wind moved. Through the branches like whispers, Ethan drove slowly, his headlights cutting through the mist. In the back of the truck, Elira sat still. Holding the metal chip tight in her hands, her silver eyes were focused on the trees. She could feel something moving, something far. But watching, Dr. Nova sat in the front seat, holding a map that looked torn and ancient. This is the place, he said, pointing ahead. Long ago, a ship crashed here, he explained. The government cleaned up most of it, but one thing they couldn't find was the beacon. What kind of beacon? Ethan asked. Alien, Nova replied. It sends and blocks signals if we can find it and power it. We can stop that countdown from reaching whoever's listening in deep space. The truck reached a narrow trail, no longer passable by wheels. They had to walk the rest of the way. Branches cracked under their boots as they moved deeper into the forest. Elira suddenly stopped. I remember this place, she said softly. Nova turned to her, surprised. You've never been here, he said. Elira looked around, her voice distant. No, not here exactly. But this forest feels like one from my past. Ethan looked at her. Your memory, Kate's coming back. She nodded slowly, in pieces. After 30 minutes of hiking, they reached a clearing. At the center was a black crater filled with moss and broken metal. Old wires poked out of the ground like roots. And in the middle stood a half-buried device, shaped like a tower with alien markings on it. The beacon, Nova whispered, his eyes wide. Ethan stepped forward and touched the surface. It was cold, even though the air was warm. We need to power it, Nova said, pulling out a strange battery pack. He connected the wires, and the device hummed. Blue light ran up the tower, like veins lighting up. Suddenly, Elira stepped back, grabbing her head. What's wrong? Ethan asked, running to her. My head. It's unlocking something, she whispered. Then she looked at Ethan. Her eyes changed again. But not just silver this time. A thin ring of glowing code circled her pupils. I remember the facility, she said, voice shaking. I wasn't the only one who escaped. Nova turned from the beacon. There are others. Yes, Elira said. Some might already be here. Hidden in plain sight. Ethan frowned. You mean other alien? Hybrids. Like you? She nodded, but not all of them want peace. The beacon fully powered on, and a pulse of light shot into the sky. Then a soft beep echoed from Nova's tablet. The countdown had paused. It worked. Nova smiled. We blocked the signal, but the celebration lasted only seconds. The beacon began to shake, lights flickered, and a sharp screech rang through the air. A small screen on the beacon lit up, showing strange alien text. Nova translated quickly, his voice. "Cold," it says. "Unauthorized interference detected. Deploying recovery unit." Ethan looked at Alira. "What does that mean?" She answered with just 2 words. "They're coming. Back in the forest." Something heavy landed, trees shook, and birds flew out in fear. A dark shape moved through the trees. Tall and silent, its eyes glowing red. "We need to go," Ethan said, grabbing the chip and Nova's equipment. But Alira didn't move. "I can feel it," she said. "The one they sent. It's not a drone. What is it?" Nova asked. "A hunter," she replied, "and it knows me." They ran back through the trees, but the forest seemed to shift around them. Paths looked different, like the hunter was controlling the woods somehow. Then they heard it a deep mechanical growl. Like metal breathing, a shadow moved fast between the trees. Ethan turned and caught a glimpse of a figure, 8 feet tall, with a body of armor and muscle. Its face was covered, but its eyes locked onto Alira like a predator finds its prey. Suddenly, the ground shook and roots shot up, wrapping around Ethan's leg. He fell hard, dropping the chip. The hunter stepped into the clearing. Walking slowly, Alira turned to face it, her hands glowing. "This ends now," she said. The hunter paused, recognizing her. "You were Prototype 9, it said in a cold voice. "You were broken." Alira raised her hands, and light burst from her palms. The hunter stepped back, but didn't fall. It raised a massive weapon from its arm and aimed. Ethan broke free from the roots and dove to grab the chip. "Run!" he shouted, but Alira stood her ground. "I won't run anymore," she said. The forest exploded in light as the hunter fired, and everything went white. Smoke filled the air, trees burned slowly, and the forest echoed with silence. Ethan coughed as he pulled himself up from the ground. His ears rang and his hands were shaking. The blast had knocked him across the clearing. He looked around, searching for Alira. "Where is she?" he whispered. The hunter was gone, leaving behind a trail of scorched earth. Ethan spotted a small crater where the blast hit. At the center stood Alira, glowing, unharmed. She turned slowly, her face calm. Her eyes no longer flickered. They blazed like silver fire. Something inside her had awakened. Ethan rushed to her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "I fought back this time." Nova ran into the clearing behind them. Clutching his bag, "I saw the blast from the hill," he said, breathless. "You shouldn't be alive." "I'm not like before," Alira said quietly. "I'm changing." The beacon behind them crackled and fizzed out. Its power was gone. The countdown on Nova's tablet resumed, now reading 58 to 12:45. The delay had bought them time, but not much. "We need to leave before it sends more." Nova said. "More hunters?" Ethan asked. Nova shook his head. "Worse." They returned to the truck and drove into the night. The world outside was calm, but they all knew it wouldn't last. Hours later, they stopped at a gas station on a quiet highway. Alira stepped out to stretch. That's when she felt a strange pressure in her chest. She turned quickly, scanning the area. A man stood at the far corner of the station, staring at her. He was tall, wearing a hooded jacket, his hands deep in his pockets, but his eyes glowed faintly blue. Alira froze. Ethan followed her gaze. "What's wrong?" "There's another," she whispered. The man slowly walked toward them. When he spoke, his voice was calm, almost too calm. "You're awake," he said to Alira. "You broke the lock." "Who are you?" Ethan asked, stepping between them. "My name is Kale," the man said, "and I'm like her." Alira stepped forward. "You escaped too?" Kale nodded. "I've been hiding, waiting, hoping someone else made it." Nova looked suspicious. "How long have you been?" Here. Cale looked at him, but didn't answer directly. Long enough to know what's coming, he said. I felt the signal burst earlier. That means the beacon was activated. Yes, Alira said. We tried to block the countdown. You? Only paused it, Cale replied. They'll come in force now. And they won't stop until they find the signal source. Ethan looked at Cale carefully. Something about him felt off, too smooth, too rehearsed. What do you want? Ethan asked. Cale smiled faintly. I want what we all want, to live free. But Alira stepped back. You're hiding something, she said. I can feel it. Cale's eyes changed. Just for a second, flashing red instead of blue. Then he laughed quietly. You always were more sensitive than the others. Ethan tensed. What does that mean? Cale looked at him. She wasn't just part of the project. Ethan, she was the key. Nova pulled out his scanner and pointed it at Cale. The device lit up with warning signals. Cale was not fully stable. His energy was spiking. You're corrupted, Nova said. Stepping back, Cale's smile vanished. I evolved, he replied. The others were weak, hiding or dead. I adapted. Alira's hands began to glow again. You're helping them, she said. Cale nodded. Slowly. Why not? We were built for them, he said. We were meant to conquer, not run. You don't have to be what they made us, Alira said. I choose to be more. Cale took a step forward. But Ethan raised his wrench like a weapon. Back off, he said. Cale stared at him, eyes cold. You think she's special? He asked. She's not what you think, before Cale could speak again. A loud boom echoed from the sky. A fireball shot across the clouds, another ship entering the atmosphere. Nova looked up in horror. They're here, he said. Early Cale laughed and vanished into the trees, his body moving faster than any human could. Ethan turned to Alira. We can't let him reach them first. She nodded. If he gives them the chip location, it's over. Nova checked his tablet. Theirs. One last place we can go, he said. A research bunker. Forgotten during the Cold War, filled with alien tech. Will it be safe? Ethan asked. Nova didn't answer. He just said, it's the last place they won't expect. As they drove off again, the sky behind them burned orange. From above, shapes moved silently through the clouds, not drones this time. Soldiers. The road twisted like a snake through the old hills. Every few miles, the signal on Nova's tablet got weaker. That was a good sign, less chance of being tracked. But the silence in the truck was heavy. Alira stared out the window, watching the trees rush past. Her mind was full of noise. Not from outside, but inside. Memories once lost were returning. And not all of them felt like her own. Ethan sat beside her, gripping the wheel tightly. He didn't trust Cale, and now they were in a race against time. Somewhere in the sky above, soldiers from another world were landing. And one of their own, Cale, was likely helping them. Nova finally spoke, breaking the silence. We're close, he said. The bunker is under an old weather station, hidden since the 1970s. Is it safe? Ethan asked. Safe? No, Nova replied. But it's buried under rock and lead. Signal can't escape from inside. They stopped at an old rusted gate. Covered in vines and thyme, Nova typed a long code into a small panel behind a stone. With a slow grind, the gate opened, revealing a steel tunnel hidden in the earth. The bunker smelled like dust and forgotten things. Lights flickered as they walked through long hallways filled with computers and machines. They entered a chamber, filled with alien tech, some glowing, some silent. At the center stood a strange device that looked like a broken throne. What is this place? Ethan asked. A research vault, Nova said. This is where the government hid everything they didn't understand. Alira stepped toward the device, her hand reaching out as she touched it. The throne came to life. Lights pulsed, and a voice echoed from the walls, not in English, not human. What is it saying? Ethan asked, Nova watched the symbols forming in the air. "It's a beacon," he said. "A command seat, built for someone like her." Alira sat down slowly, her body sinking into the metal like it remembered her. Suddenly, energy surrounded her and her eyes widened. She began to speak, but it wasn't her voice. "The prototype is now connected," the system said through her lips. "Would you like to resume command?" Ethan stepped forward. "Alira." She blinked hard, then gasped. "I saw it," she whispered. "The truth." "What truth?" Nova asked. "There were more like me," she said. 9 prototypes. I was number 9. But I wasn't the last. "Wait," Ethan said. "I thought you were the final one." She shook her head. "That's what they told me. But there was one more. Prototype 10. Nova's face turned pale. "That changes everything," he whispered. Ethan looked between them. "What does that mean?" "It means," Nova said, "someone else may be carrying the final signal." Not Alira. Just then, alarms blared in the bunker. A screen lit up unauthorized entry at the surface. "They found us," Ethan said. Alira stood from the chair. "Glowing brighter now. I'll stop them," she said. "No," Nova replied. "You're the only one who can activate the final lock." Ethan ran to a weapons crate and grabbed a small plasma gun. He handed it to Nova and kept one for himself. They rushed to the main hallway, but before they reached the door, it opened by itself. Kale stood there, calm, but he was not alone. Behind him floated 2 armored beings, not human. Their faces were covered in smooth silver masks, and they held weapons like spears of light. Kale raised his hands. "I told them I'd bring you the prototype," he said, smiling. Nova aimed his weapon. Traitor, Kale laughed. "You never understood," he said. "We weren't made to hide, we were made to lead." He looked at Alira. "You sit in the chair, thinking you have control, but you're just a backup." Alira stepped forward, her voice calm but full of fire. "You gave up everything for power. I gained clarity," Kale said. "And I'm not alone." Suddenly, one of the soldiers stepped forward, removed its mask. It wasn't an alien. It was a girl, with glowing violet eyes and a cold stare. "Prototype 10, Nova whispered. "She's real." The girl didn't blink. "She was never lost," Alira said quietly. "They raised her differently, made her believe the mission was sacred." Ethan raised his weapon. "Back off," he said. Kale smiled. "You're too late," he said. "She's already activated the true signal." The beacon in the chamber behind them roared to life. Screens turned red, and the countdown vanished. In its place were new words: connection, complete arrival, inbound. Alira looked at Ethan. "If they land, Earth is finished." The beacon shook the entire bunker. Walls cracked, lights flashed red, and machines sparked as if alive. The signal had gone out fast. Powerful, final, above the Earth. Something massive moved through space. Dark, quiet, invisible to most satellites. But not to Alira. She could feel it in her bones. The arrival had begun inside the command chamber. Prototype 10 stood still, her violet eyes glowing like cold fire. "You can't stop it now," she said. "It's already done." Alira stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Maybe I can't stop the signal," she said, "but I can still make a choice." Kale moved beside 10, watching Alira closely. "You were never the strong one," he said. "You were the experiment that showed emotion, and that's why you failed." Ethan raised his weapon again, hand steady. "Back away from her," he said. "You think you understand this war?" Kale said. "This isn't your planet anymore." Nova, standing near the control panels, quickly tapped into the beacon system. He found a hidden option buried under code human override. "It's locked," he whispered. "Needs organic authorization." He looked at Alira. "If you link with the system fully, it might listen to you." Alira nodded, stepping back into the throne-like chair as she sat. The room dimmed. Blue light poured from her chest into the machine. A voice filled the bunker again. Command connection detected. Prototype 9. Do you wish to transfer control to native species? Alira looked at Ethan, then at Nova, then finally at Prototype 10. Yes, she said. I choose Earth. A wave of light burst from the beacon, sending Kale and Ten stumbling backward. The alien code across the walls melted into human language. Maps, frequencies, signals rewritten in Earth's voice. Kale roared in anger, charging toward the throne. Ethan stepped in his way and fired. The energy blast hit Kale's shoulder, throwing him against the wall. Ten screamed, her body shaking. You gave them the seat, she said. You betrayed your own kind. I became more than they made. Me, Alira said, rising from the chair. I became human. Nova activated the override, locking out the incoming fleet from connecting to Earth's systems. But it wasn't enough. They're still coming, he said. We bought time. But not safety. Alira looked at the chip still glowing in Ethan's pocket. That chip. It's not just a tracker, she said. It's a core. A core for what? Ethan asked. A failsafe, Alira replied. If I return it to the beacon and overload it, it will destroy the signal and everything connected to it. Nova's eyes widened. That will vaporize this entire bunker. Alira smiled sadly. I know, Ethan said. Grabbing her arm, we'll find another way. There's no time, she whispered. This is the only way. Ethan's voice broke. I just found you. And now I get to protect you, she said softly. That's what makes me human. She kissed his forehead gently, then turned. Toward the beacon, she took the chip from his hand and pressed it into the heart of the machine. The bunker lights turned white, humming louder and louder. Outside, the sky opened, revealing the edge of the alien mothership entering the atmosphere. Ten screamed and tried to run, but the chamber locked. Kale, still on the ground, stared at Alira with wide eyes. You were never broken, he whispered. No, she said. I was free. The beacon exploded in light, pure, blinding, peaceful, and then silence. 1 week later, the skies were clear. No alien ships, number signals, no countdowns. Ethan stood at the edge of the forest, looking up at the stars. Nova walked up beside him, holding a metal box. They found something. In the ruins, he said, a single crystal. Still warm, Ethan held the crystal. It pulsed once soft and steady. He smiled. She's still out there, he said. Nova nodded. Maybe not alien. Maybe not machine, he said. But something new. A new kind of life. Born from war, shaped by choice, and made by something powerful: hope.